Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear brothers and sisters, today we reflect on a truth that is both comforting and powerful. Allah's strength is greater than all pain. Allah's strength is than all pain. Life is filled with challenges, difficulties, and moments that test our patience. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed, lost, or burdened by the trials before us. But it is in these very moments that Allah reminds us of His infinite power and mercy. No matter how heavy the heart feels, no matter how deep the sorrow runs, the strength of Allah is beyond all comprehension. He is the one who holds the heavens and the earth, the one who creates and sustains every living being. If Allah's strength is with us, then surely no pain can overpower us. And we must remember that trials are not punishments, they are opportunities. Opportunities to turn back to Allah, to seek His help, and to strengthen our faith. Just as the Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us, patience in the face of hardship is a means to nearness to Allah. When we are patient and turn to Him, we realize that our burdens are not heavier than His mercy. Trusting Allah is not always easy. Sometimes we do not understand why we face certain difficulties. But true trust is believing that Allah knows what is best for us, even when we do not. It is relying on Him completely, with the heart free from worry, and knowing that relief and ease come from Him alone. Practical steps can help us live this trust. Begin with prayer. It connects you directly to Allah. Engage in dhikr. Remembrance of Allah calms the heart. Reflect on the Quran. It reminds us of Allah's wisdom and mercy. And most importantly, be patient, for every hardship is temporary, and every night is followed by a dawn. Brothers and sisters, remember this: no pain is greater than Allah's strength. Your struggles, your fears, and your hardships are all within His control. Trust Him, seek His help, and find peace in the certainty that He is always with you. May Allah strengthen our hearts, increase our faith, and make us among those who always rely on Him in every situation. Ameen. The strength of Allah is infinite, beyond human comprehension, and incomparable to anything in creation. When we reflect on the universe, we see signs of His power everywhere. The sun rises and sets, the stars follow precise courses, the oceans surge and recede, life continues in perfect balance. All of this occurs not by accident, but by the will and strength of Allah. This understanding is crucial because it reminds believers that no matter how powerful human beings think they are, or how overwhelming the challenges in life may appear, Allah's strength surpasses everything. The mountains that seem unmovable, the storms that seem uncontrollable, the illnesses that seem devastating, none of these are beyond the power of Allah. His strength encompasses all creation, yet it is also close enough to touch every heart that calls upon Him in sincerity. Allah's strength is not just a force that controls the universe, it is also a source of protection and support for those who rely upon Him. When a believer faces pain, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, understanding the magnitude of Allah's strength provides comfort. Human strength is limited, and no matter how resilient a person may be, there is always a point where endurance falters. This is where turning to Allah becomes essential. When a person recognizes that their own power is limited but Allah's strength is boundless, they experience a sense of relief. It allows them to release anxiety and fear, understanding that no matter how heavy their burden, Allah's strength is greater than anything they face. The Quran repeatedly emphasizes the might and omnipotence of Allah. For example, Allah is described as the one who has power over all things, the one who is capable of creating and restoring, the one whose command encompasses the heavens and the earth. These attributes remind believers that every difficulty, every pain, and every moment of weakness is within His control. Nothing happens without His permission, and nothing can persist against His will. This does not mean that life will be free of hardships, but it does mean that no matter what a person experiences, Allah's strength is sufficient to handle it. The trials that seem unbearable are, in reality, opportunities to witness Allah's might and to trust in His ability to bring relief and guidance. In practical life, Acknowledging Allah's strength transforms the way a believer faces challenges. It instills hope in moments of despair and courage in moments of fear. When a person internalizes that Allah's strength is far greater than all pain, they are less likely to succumb to hopelessness. Instead of viewing problems as insurmountable, they see them as manageable through reliance on Allah. This perspective encourages patience, perseverance, and proactive effort. A person who understands the power of Allah does not simply sit passively, waiting for miracles. They take steps to improve their situation, pray sincerely, and trust that Allah will support them in ways that are best for them. Allah's strength is also a source of spiritual fortitude. It enables believers to remain steadfast in their faith even when life becomes difficult. When a person faces trials, whether it is the loss of a loved one, financial hardship, illness, or emotional pain, the recognition of Allah's might allows them to approach the situation with calm and composure. They realize that the one who controls all things is also the one who hears their supplications, understands their struggles, and has the ability to ease their difficulties. This realization nurtures a deep sense of reliance tawakkul, where a believer places their trust entirely in Allah, confident that His strength is sufficient to overcome any obstacle. The strength of Allah is not limited to external phenomena. It extends into the hearts of His servants. When a person sincerely turns to Allah asking for help and guidance, Allah can instill patience, resilience, and clarity within them. This internal support is a manifestation of His power and mercy. It allows individuals to endure what might otherwise be unbearable and to continue striving with hope and faith. Recognizing that Allah's strength encompasses both the cosmos and the human heart reinforces the believer's connection to Him and deepens their reliance on His infinite power. Understanding the power of Allah also encourages humility. Human beings, despite their knowledge, skills, and resources, are ultimately limited in their capacity to control life. Acknowledging Allah's superior strength fosters a sense of dependence on Him, which is not a sign of weakness but of wisdom. It allows believers to confront difficulties with the awareness that success and relief come not solely from their own efforts, but from the combination of their effort and Allah's boundless strength. This balance between personal responsibility and trust in Allah's power is the hallmark of a strong, resilient, and faithful believer. Life is filled with trials, difficulties, and tests, and these are part of the natural order created by Allah. No person is exempt from experiencing challenges, whether they are small inconveniences or major hardships. Understanding that trials are a part of life helps believers approach them with patience, perspective, and resilience. Trials are not necessarily a reflection of punishment or failure. Rather, they are opportunities for growth, purification, and spiritual elevation. They remind us that life is temporary and that ultimate success lies in maintaining faith and trust in Allah through every circumstance. Every trial in life carries a purpose, even if that purpose is not immediately apparent to the human mind. Pain and difficulty often serve as a test of character, patience, and trust in Allah. These tests distinguish those who remain steadfast in faith from those who give in to despair. For instance, financial difficulties teach reliance on Allah and gratitude for what one has, while personal losses cultivate empathy, humility, and awareness of the transient nature of worldly possessions. Trials also encourage self-reflection, helping individuals recognize areas in their character that require improvement, such as impatience, arrogance, or ingratitude. By approaching difficulties as lessons, believers transform suffering into an opportunity for personal and spiritual development. The Quran repeatedly emphasizes that every person will face tests in life, and these tests are tailored to individual circumstances. Some face physical challenges, others emotional or spiritual hardships. The severity and form of a trial are proportionate to a person's capacity, though human beings may not always recognize their own resilience until tested. Allah in His wisdom knows what each individual can endure and uses trials to strengthen the soul, purify the heart, and draw the believer closer to Him. Understanding this perspective helps reduce anxiety and despair because the believer knows that no challenge is meaningless and that Allah's wisdom underlies every event. Patience or sabr is central to navigating life's trials. Patience is not simply waiting passively for a problem to disappear. It is active perseverance, trust in Allah, and steadfastness in faith despite hardship. A patient person maintains hope, continues striving for improvement, and seeks Allah's assistance in overcoming difficulties. The reward for patience is not limited to relief from the immediate trial. It also extends to spiritual elevation, purification of sins, and eternal reward in the sight of Allah. Trials are therefore opportunities to earn immense reward, transform adversity into growth, and cultivate a heart that is content with Allah's decree. And trials also teach humility and dependence on Allah. Human beings often rely on their own abilities, skills, and resources, forgetting that ultimate control rests with Allah. When difficulties arise, they reveal the limitations of human power and the necessity of turning to Allah for help. This recognition fosters deep trust tawakkul in Allah and strengthens the bond between the believer and their Creator. A person who understands life's trials realizes that suffering is not a rejection by Allah, but a reminder of His presence, a call to seek His guidance, and an opportunity to rely entirely on His infinite wisdom and mercy. Trials encourage empathy and compassion for others. Experiencing hardship personally allows a believer to understand and support those facing similar difficulties. This social and moral dimension of trials strengthens communities, promotes kindness, and reinforces the shared human experience of endurance. By reflecting on the purpose of personal suffering, believers are more likely to assist others in their struggles, provide encouragement, and offer practical support. Trials thus not only benefit the individual spiritually, but also contribute positively to society and interpersonal relationships. The temporary nature of trials is another important lesson. No matter how severe a difficulty may seem, it is finite and will eventually pass by the will of Allah. This understanding allows believers to maintain hope, focus on solutions, and continue moving forward. Difficult moments are like storms that test the strength of a tree. They may bend it, shake it, or even break weaker branches, but the roots that remain firm endure and grow stronger over time. Similarly, believers who face life's trials with patience, trust, and faith develop spiritual resilience, deeper understanding, and stronger character. Understanding life's trials means recognizing that difficulties are neither arbitrary nor meaningless. They are part of Allah's plan for personal growth, spiritual development, and preparation for the eternal life. By embracing challenges with patience, seeking Allah's guidance, and maintaining hope, believers transform trials into opportunities, strengthen their character, and deepen their reliance on Allah. Pain, sorrow, and adversity become reminders of human limitations, the necessity of divine support, and the potential for spiritual elevation and reward. Trusting Allah fully or having true tawakkul is one of the most important aspects of a believer's life. It is more than merely acknowledging that Allah is powerful. It is placing complete reliance on Him in every matter, knowing that He is the most wise, most merciful, and all-knowing. Trusting Allah means believing that whatever occurs in life, whether favorable or challenging, is part of His perfect plan. This trust allows the heart to remain calm in the face of uncertainty and hardship because the believer understands that Allah's wisdom surpasses human understanding. Human knowledge is limited, and often people do not see the bigger picture, but Allah sees everything, the hidden motives, the consequences of actions, and the ultimate outcome of all events. True trust in Allah does not imply passivity. It does not mean that a person ignores responsibilities or waits idly for problems to resolve. Instead, it is an active form of reliance that combines effort, planning, and action with a sincere belief that the results are in Allah's hands. A farmer plants seeds, waters the fields, and cares for the crops, yet he knows that the growth depends on Allah's will. Similarly, in life, believers strive, make decisions, and take practical steps, but they maintain peace of mind, knowing that ultimate success is determined by Allah. This balance between effort and reliance is the essence of true trust, as it allows a person to take responsibility without falling into anxiety or despair. Trusting Allah fully brings immense inner peace. When a person has complete confidence in Allah's plan, the weight of worry and fear begins to lift. Life becomes less about controlling every outcome and more about fulfilling one's responsibility sincerely while leaving the results to Allah. This perspective transforms how believers, instead of being consumed by fear of the unknown or frustration over circumstances beyond their control, they develop patience and resilience. They learn to accept life's ups and downs with equanimity, understanding that every event is under Allah's management and serves a higher purpose, even if it is not immediately apparent. The Quran emphasizes the importance of placing trust in Allah in numerous passages. Believers are reminded to seek help through patience and prayer, to rely on Allah's plan, and to acknowledge that ultimate control rests solely with Him. History and prophetic traditions provide countless examples of individuals who faced immense challenges yet maintained unwavering trust in Allah. Their reliance was not blind. It was informed by knowledge of Allah's attributes, awareness of His mercy, and understanding of His wisdom. By reflecting on these examples, believers can learn practical ways to cultivate trust in their own lives, knowing that Allah never abandons those who turn to Him sincerely. Trusting Allah fully also requires surrendering the illusion of complete control. Human beings often want to plan every detail of their lives and predict every outcome, but life is inherently uncertain. Health issues, financial challenges, relationship difficulties, and unforeseen events remind people that they are not the ultimate controllers of their destiny. Recognizing one's limitations and placing reliance on Allah strengthens faith, reduces stress, and develops spiritual resilience. It allows believers to face trials with courage, understanding that even when events do not unfold as desired, Allah's wisdom is greater than human perception, and His plan encompasses benefits that may not be immediately visible. Another dimension of trusting Allah is consistency in worship and remembrance. When a person trusts Allah, they turn to Him in prayer, supplication, and reflection regularly, rather than only in moments of crisis. Daily acts of devotion strengthen the heart's reliance on Allah, reinforce the belief that He is capable of all things, and cultivate a mindset of hope and contentment. Trusting Allah also encourages gratitude. When believers recognize that blessings, opportunities, and successes come from Allah, they develop a humble and thankful attitude, which further reinforces faith and reliance on Him. Trusting Allah fully has practical effects on mental and emotional well-being. Anxiety, fear, and frustration often stem from a desire to control outcomes or fear of the unknown. When reliance on Allah is internalized, these negative emotions diminish. The heart experiences tranquility, the mind becomes clearer, and decision-making improves because the believer approaches challenges with a sense of purpose and confidence in Allah's guidance. Trust also enhances resilience. Setbacks and failures, which might otherwise lead to despair, are viewed as temporary and manageable with Allah's support. The believer continues to strive, knowing that Allah's strength, wisdom, and mercy are sufficient to overcome any obstacle. Ultimately, trusting Allah fully transforms both perspective and behavior. Life is approached with patience, perseverance, and hope, rather than anxiety, frustration, or despair. It cultivates spiritual maturity, strengthens the heart, and prepares the believer to face trials with courage and contentment. The believer learns that reliance on Allah is not a weakness but a source of immense strength, empowering them to navigate life with confidence, gratitude, and unwavering faith. Strengthening one's faith requires conscious effort, practice, and reflection. Faith, or iman, is not merely a belief in the heart. It is a dynamic relationship with Allah that grows through knowledge, worship, and action. One of the most effective ways to strengthen faith is through regular prayer, or salah. Prayer is the direct connection between a believer and Allah, a daily reminder of His presence, mercy, and power. 20. Performing prayers consistently with focus and understanding helps the heart remain grounded in Allah's guidance. It teaches discipline, patience, and humility, reminding the believer that life is not solely about worldly matters, but about nurturing a relationship with the Creator. Through prayer, the heart gains tranquility, and the mind becomes oriented toward righteousness and trust in Allah's plan. Another practical step is the remembrance of Allah, known as dhikr. Dhikr involves praising Allah, reflecting on His names and attributes, and acknowledging His presence in every aspect of life. Repeatedly remembering Allah strengthens faith by keeping the heart connected to divine guidance and protection. Dhikr can be performed in formal settings, such as after prayer, or informally throughout the day, as believers reflect on Allah's mercy, strength, and wisdom in every circumstance. This constant remembrance cultivates a deep sense of reliance, contentment, and resilience, allowing the believer to navigate life's challenges with confidence and spiritual awareness. Reflecting on the Quran is another crucial practice for strengthening faith. The Quran is not merely a book of guidance. It is a source of wisdom, comfort, and clarity in all aspects of life. Reading, understanding, and contemplating its verses reminds believers of Allah's power, promises, and ultimate justice. Regular engagement with the Quran helps believers internalize its teachings, apply them in daily life, and recognize that trials, blessings, and challenges are all within Allah's control. By reflecting on the stories of the prophets, the lessons of past communities, and the attributes of Allah mentioned in the Quran, believers gain perspective, patience, and renewed trust in Allah's plan. Seeking knowledge about one's faith is also essential. Knowledge deepens understanding of Allah's attributes, the purpose of creation, and the principles of righteous living. Learning about the wisdom behind life's trials, the benefits of patience, and the rewards of trusting Allah provides clarity and strengthens conviction. Knowledge allows believers to differentiate between superficial worry and meaningful concern, equipping them to face difficulties with insight rather than fear. Studying the lives of the prophets, righteous companions, and devout individuals further inspires faith as believers see real examples of trust, perseverance, and divine support in action. Acting upon one's faith through good deeds is another powerful method to strengthen belief. Faith is not static. It manifests in actions such as charity, kindness, honesty, and service to others. Every good deed reinforces reliance on Allah, nurtures humility, and fosters gratitude. Performing acts of kindness also creates a sense of interconnectedness with the community and highlights Allah's guidance in practical, tangible ways. When believers witness the positive impact of their actions and recognize that Allah rewards even the smallest deeds, their faith becomes more vibrant and active. Again, patience and gratitude are essential companions in strengthening faith. Life is filled with trials, but approaching them with patience allows the believer to endure difficulties while maintaining hope and trust in Allah. Gratitude, on the other hand, shifts focus from what is lacking to the countless blessings Allah has provided. A heart filled with gratitude naturally strengthens faith, as it acknowledges that every good comes from Allah and that reliance on Him is both necessary and rewarding. Regular supplication or dua is also vital. Dua is a direct conversation with Allah, expressing needs, fears, hopes, and gratitude. Making sincere supplications strengthens faith by reminding the believer that Allah is always listening and capable of providing guidance, comfort, and support. Dua nurtures humility and dependence, reinforcing the understanding that human effort alone is insufficient without Allah's will. Reflections on personal experiences further enhances faith. By contemplating moments of relief after hardship, unexpected blessings, and instances of guidance, believers recognize Allah's hand in their lives. This reflection cultivates awareness, strengthens trust, and encourages a proactive and grateful approach to both trials and triumphs. Surrounding oneself with righteous companions and engaging in a supportive community reinforces faith. Positive influences encourage adherence to prayer, study, remembrance, and ethical conduct. Being part of a community that values trust in Allah, patience, and spiritual growth provides motivation, accountability, and shared wisdom, all of which strengthen the believer's faith and resilience. By consistently practicing prayer, remembrance, reflection on the Quran, seeking knowledge, performing good deeds, exercising patience and gratitude, making supplication, reflecting on life experiences, and engaging with a supportive community, a believer strengthens faith in practical and meaningful ways. Faith becomes not only a belief in the heart, but a guiding force in daily life, enabling reliance on Allah, resilience through trials, and spiritual growth in every circumstance. Yo,